Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh. And with me today, I have,
Derek Fisher again.
yay, Derek's back. Thank you, Derek.
You all.
I was supposed to be organized and have a topic. And then as I was racking through questions and thoughts in my head, I decided, screw it. We're just talking about dogs.
You and I are both so ADHD that even if we have a topic, it's going to go in another direction.
I think this way works. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a local service dog trainer. Allison, it was you, and a different Allison. It was just as I was watching her with her young little service dog she's training,
Hmm.
and her philosophy totally aligned with mine, as in she's letting her young service dogs be young service dogs. She's not squelching them with rules yet. She's just making them like balanced individuals that they know the basics. They come when they're called, they're nice on a leash, they're not mouthing at your hands. But other than that, she's just working on them being bold, being cuddly, because a lot of her dogs need to do deep pressure. So the fundamentals of their personalities is all that she's working on rather than trained behaviors.
Uh-huh.
Are you the same with your young dogs?
Oh, I'm a little over the top with that, to be honest. Like when the all of the dogs that I have now, with the exception of one, or actually two, are dogs that I personally bred. The other two are off of dogs that I bred. When my puppies are born, like I I'm in the pen with them. I'm touching them every day. I'm making sure everybody's healthy. I don't overdo it when they're before they have a personality, but I get it to the point that like those puppies are as much my dog as they are their mothers. I have videos of them like running through the field with me because I'm trying to get away from them. It's like little piranhas, and I'm not even kidding. I at one point somebody at work was like, "Are you hurting yourself? Please tell me that you're not cutting yourself." I'm like, "No, that's my puppies." And and even to the point like when I place them, there's a dog right now that I bred that is very competitive in the sheepdog world. One of the last times I saw them, I was in the back of their camp trailer where they have the dogs. It's like in a living quarter. It's like a toy hauler situation. The dog was just like losing his mind because I was standing right next to him, and I didn't pay any attention because I wasn't even thinking about it. And the guy just starts pointing over at this dog, and I was like, and I looked over, and it was him. It was my puppy, and he was like a year old at that point. And without even asking, and I probably shouldn't have done this, and I don't recommend this for most people. I just like sat down on the ground, opened up his crate, and he just was all over me. And I was like, "Yeah, you might get a puppy from me, but they're always going to be my baby." And so yeah, like I really let them. I really try to build their confidence and bond with them, teach them how to bond with people. I know people that just and I know people that do this, and I never will sell them a dog. Is that they'll get a puppy and they'll just be in a kennel or a run or a yard for quite a while, and they won't bond with them. And
Yeah.
it's like my dogs don't respond well to that. My dogs respond well to a connection. So
What what actual training things are you working on with a puppy that's like under a year or a dog that's under a year? Maybe
for me,
that's
mostly
too
it's
late. What about under 6 months?
for me mostly it's just I just want them to walk on a leash, at least not pull on it. I don't expect them to like walk behind me like I expect my adults to. I'll it depend and also depending on how hard-headed they are. Like I had one dog, I think I got her in 2005. She was hard-headed as hell. I lived at this place where we had some working stock. One of the ewes was this Suffolk ewe, like a black. For those of you who don't know what a Suffolk is, they're like the sheep with a white body and a black face and legs. And she was vicious to like all the dogs, even dogs that I had been super competitive with. She would try to charge him and do all sorts of bad things to him. Rose got loose one day, and because she was an escape artist too, but she got loose one day, goes out and goes out into the pen, and I didn't even know this happened. I thought she was secure. I was letting her out with other puppies so she could just play, and she goes out into this pen I don't know where the other sheep ended up, but they must have jumped the fence because there was only one sheep and a lamb in that pen, and it was that Suffolk ewe and her lamb. All I saw was my little 3.5, 4 month old puppy had this ewe cornered. This ewe was scared to death, and Rose is just standing there with her nose. She's like showing all this style of an adult dog, and this ewe was obviously terrified. And she would like stamp her leg and kind of bob her head at Rose, and Rose just looked at her like, "Is that the best you got?" So like with her, I never start my dogs that young because they need. I think their bones need to develop. So I just started taking her on walks. Like I take then during the day I would take her on 4 to 8 mile walks and just on a leash and I taught her how to walk behind me because she had to have some structure. And then
Yep.
taught her a recall. And then I was like, I might as well teach you a down. And then I was like, well, I'll start teaching you your flank commands. So she was an exception, definitely not the rule. But mostly just I just want him to be a nice dog. That's really all I care about at that point. What about you?
I'm exactly the same. I want to teach them to follow me through fire. So they're off leash everywhere. Like long before a leash is on, they're off leash. They've learned
Hmm.
to come when they're called, follow me through fire. And then I just want a dog I can live with. And I do let them be somewhat bad and brattier because I need a dog with a lot of push.
Hmm.
And I have a lot of presence, so I can take it out quite easily if I'm not very mindful about that. So I do let them be badder, but I make them be nice dogs. They have to let me cut their toenails, handle them, come when called. That's pretty much it. Um,
Yeah, like one of our mutual friends was doing showed some the stuff that he does with some of his puppies, like stimulation and things like that. I watched a lot of it, and what I realized is like I do all of those things just without the scheduled structure that he does with it. But I do that stuff with all my dogs. Like they get used to loud noises. They travel with me. Like I'm like even when I've had 12 dogs of my own and other people's, whatever, every time I leave to go to a competition, they all go with me. It's
I
rare
think
that anybody gets left behind.
that's something very important. Like Harry, long before needed, an important thing for him is to learn to stay in a hotel overnight.
Hmm.
You and we live on an acreage, so we really have no neighbors. And
Hmm.
he was flying at that door, barking when he heard people walking past, talking.
Hmm.
Now in a hotel room, he just doesn't even lift his head. He's quiet. So things like traveling and learning how to relax while they travel is so important. Otherwise, they'll never be able to chill later when they have to compete and bring their A
Yeah,
game forward.
I've always done that, and I didn't even wasn't even told to do it. It's just something I just naturally would do. And I was listening to another podcast by a horse trainer actually, and they were talking about it was an interview podcast, and so they were talking about that where if they have a horse in for training or one of their younger horses, sometimes they'll go to a show for a weekend and they'll take those young horses just to be desensitized by that. And I think
Yep.
it's super important.
Yep.
This weekend in Boise was Pride, and I took my dog Mac with me because everybody loves a dog, and he's really well behaved. So I took him, and the stage had a concert going, as Pride events do, and I got him slowly closer and closer and closer to it, and I could see him. What I loved about it was even if the noises were slightly jarring, and I didn't do it for very long, I would take him up close for a few minutes and then walk away. As I got closer to it, and as it got a little bit more chaotic, he would not leave me alone. He was like coming between my legs. He does this thing where he'll jump up in my arms and I'll catch him, and it's really cute. And but he was like jumping on me, and I could tell he was a little nervous, but I loved his response that he was coming to me for reassurance that everything was okay.
Yep.
And then we'd walk back out and just into the crowd. And some of the trials I run at, Soldier Hollow and the Meeker Classic, they have 20, 30,000 spectators that come to those. They have to be able to walk through a crowd of people.
Yep.
And so it was really nice for him to, it was really nice for me to see how he responded to that situation. I
Yep.
mean, I do that all the time.
Something else very important for young dogs, they have to learn to pee and poo on a flexi leash or on a regular leash because when you're traveling, and they have to learn to pee and poo on asphalt, gravel, or
Hmm.
grass because you never know what you're going to be on.
Hmm. That's as puppies, like when I let them out of their crate, because I crate my puppies overnight at least. One thing I'll do with them is I'll take him out, and the first time, right when they go to the bathroom, it's, oh, good dog, go potty, good dog, go potty. And I had one dog that even was so smart that I would take her out and be like, all right, Queen, go potty, and she would immediately like go piddle, and then she'd be running around playing, and we got to go in. I got to get ready for work. I was like, wait a minute, did you poop? And she would look at me like, huh? Oh my God, I didn't. So she would run out and go poop. It was the cute. You actually knew Queen, I think.
I
Um,
did. I did. I
yeah.
loved Queen.
But yeah, like that stuff, like you said, you never know where you're going to be at.
Yep.
And this is why I don't like raising more than one puppy at a time, because you know, I'm not one of those people that I will never be one of those people that doesn't give each puppy like a lot of one-on-one attention.
I've never had more than one puppy, and I do so much with my puppies. I can't imagine. They require so much from you that I just don't have it in me to do more than one, or I'd
I've
really be
raised three at a
robbing them.
time. I've had three before,
Wow.
and that was way too many.
Yep.
And the first time it was just because these three puppies just really picked me, and so I thought that'd be cool. I'll keep a dog and a bitch out of the litter, but then another bitch really liked me. And then the next time it's because their mother died when they were 2.5 weeks old,
Oh shit.
and they were, yeah, that was hell. I kept too many that time. I still have one, and he's great, and I love him, and he's great to work with. But yeah, that was the other thing about 2020. Like it was hard to get dogs socialized in 2020 because we weren't going anywhere,
Yeah.
and usually I'm on the road like half of the weekends out of the year to dog trials, so they get a really good exposure. But yeah, just like you said, just make him be a nice dog. Come when you're called. Don't drag me out on a leash, and
Yeah.
don't sit in your crate and yip all night or all day
Yeah.
or whatever.
Exactly. Just the basics.
Yeah.
They don't need to be a good working dog. I just need the right foundation blocks so I can make them a good working dog when
Hmm.
they're young. It's funny because a lot of the pet dog world is all about teaching them to sit, stay, down, go to your place. And I don't do any of that with my young dogs, like none of it. It it may or may not like they're trained, so it's going to come later, but it's secondary. First we must make them nice people.
Hmm.
First, they have
Yeah.
to learn not to throw sand in another kid's eyes when they're playing in the
Hmm.
playground. Those are the
Well,
fundamentals.
I tell this, I usually find at least one person in every clinic that I can be this direct with. And I'm not trying to diss anybody. We love everybody, but
No, we
I'm
don't.
just gonna tell. Okay, I'm trying to be politically correct, Monique. Um, but there's always somebody at either in a lesson, a clinic, a group setting, or whatever that I just flat out tell them. I was like, you are the reason I can't have my dog wherever I want it. Don't
Yeah.
be the reason that I can't have my dog in a hotel room. Don't be the reason that everybody has to have their dogs on leashes. I got attacked by a dog when I was 7 years old. My rule is, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that really breed a lot for temperament. They have to love everybody. They have to go straight. I should be able to hand you the leash and you could be able to go work my dog. I don't believe that.
I don't
Um,
believe that either. It's about a
like,
bond. They're not
yeah,
robots. It's about a bond.
yeah. And so for my dogs, they don't have to like you. That's
No,
fine. But they have to tolerate you until you
they
try
can't.
to be threatening me.
They can't be rude, but they need to just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am exactly the same.
I've actually told people I was walking to the post one time at Meeker, which is like my favorite trial of the year. It just got done today, and if I don't know if Jamie is listening, but Jamie Spring won it with her dog, and Jamie is the nicest, kindest, sweetest person. It couldn't have happened to somebody better. Congratulations to Jamie Spring. Um,
Congratulations, Jamie.
yeah, you would love her. She's just a sweetheart. I absolutely adore her and her family. But I was walking to go let my dog Heidi see the sheep, which are like brown sheep in a brown field, and she has to go 400 yards to get them. And Heidi never was good at spotting her sheep. And this lady stops me. She's like, "Oh, can my son pet your dog?" I said, "I'm just walking out to let her see the sheep. I'm running in one or two." And so I said, "Maybe hit me up after my run, and they can totally pet my dog." And the lady acted like it was, the lady acted like she was entitled to let her son pet my dog. And I said, she's like, he only wanted to just pet her. I said, and I am on a time crunch. And I said, no, not right now. And
Yeah.
you would have thought I tried to kill her kid. And it pissed me off. I said, thanks for asking, but the answer still can be no. But yeah, like you said, with the puppies, I let them jump on me. Sometimes I even turn it into a trick, and I found that it really builds
Me
their
too. Yeah,
confidence.
me too.
It like I think it really builds their confidence to jump in your arms when you tell them to. And usually when I do that, like they they don't jump on me that much because they're waiting for the command to jump into my arms. Not always, but
Yeah,
sometimes.
none of my adults, Rupert, my basset hound, jumps on me, but he's below knee height, so I don't blame him. The rest of them don't jump up. I'm
Yeah,
trying to think.
and you've just hit on something that reminded me of something else. Like a lot of people with those small dogs, and I'm not gonna pick on any dogs, but like the really small dogs, Pomeranians, Chihuahuas.
My
Um,
husband's darling Chihuahua.
oh yes, I'm sure yours is really nice, but I think the reason so many of them aren't. Oh, there's a dog in the background. Hello, dog.
There's
Um,
many
um, I think the reason that so many of them aren't is
there.
because, aw, is that like people don't feel the need to correct a small dog because it's almost like they are a toy, and it's like, no, like they still have to be nice dogs too. Like,
Mo would love to be a little tyrant. It's her life goal, and
yeah,
husband thinks it's most funny. But I have to say, she's a very nice Chihuahua. She really is. She's a lovely
yeah.
little thing.
I
She
mean, it's
has
like,
the right
oh,
amount
sorry.
of spice to be quite funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
totally acceptable. I had friends when I lived in Los Angeles, and there was a lot of my friends had like little chihuahuas, and oh my goodness, they were so annoying. You'd go to their house for like a party or something, and I couldn't hear myself think. And that sound is super triggering to me because I don't allow that to happen with my dogs.
I hate
Um,
barking dogs.
I don't know. Tell me what you think about this because I noticed this with my dog Jen, Nell's mother, was that I got her from a terrible place. If any dog was truly rescued, she's definitely one of them. But she she would freak out when when things would happen around her because she never had any guidance, she never had any support system, she never had a leader. I only would walk her I would only walk her with her by my side or behind me. And I'm 6'3". She was like a 29-pound border collie soaking wet. She looked like a Sheltie, basically.
Chihuahua.
Um, yeah, she was the Chihuahua of the border collies. And I I tried to communicate to her that you don't need to freak out. Like you just sit here and don't like provoke anything. I will take care of you. I will be the shield between you and everything else.
Yep.
And I've noticed like a lot of these dogs that are leash aggressive or things like that, they're always pulling their owner around and barking at people. And it's be a leader and they'll quit doing that. They want to have a leader. They don't want to be most dogs I find don't want to be that dog. They want to feel safe
It's
rather than act
teamwork.
out. Yeah,
It's teamwork. Protect them. If I don't want my dog to use his teeth, I must give him a reason he doesn't have to.
that's a really good way to put it.
So I deal with it for him. And if I'm losing that battle, he's welcome to join in and help.
Uh-huh.
But he has to give me the first chance to deal with it first.
Perfect. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah. I have a question. If you have a young dog that's lacking confidence, are you going to build that confidence with them in life or on sheep? Do you
Everywhere.
go? Okay.
That's actually where I'll take a dog, and if they don't already know it, I will teach them to jump in my arms.
Yeah.
And when I play with them, I play like a little rough. I don't coddle them. Like when they do something really good, I'm like patting them on the ribs pretty assertively and like roughing up their hair and be like, "Oh, are you the best dog in the world? Are you the best dog in the world?" And get them all hyped up that they just did something cool. You know, sheep can definitely be a part of that. But and usually what I find is dogs that don't have that kind of confidence in life don't have enough mental fortitude to stay with me in the competitive world. So I do everything I can to build them up and make them happy and make them confident. And then inevitably somebody will come along that their temperaments match, and so that's where I will let them go. That's a big thing. But yeah, in life, that's those are the dogs that's like, oh yeah, look at you pulling on the leash. It's like, oh
Exactly.
look at you looking like feeling like a big man as a dog. And I talk to him just like that. And
You said something key right there. Until a dog has the bravery, or a puppy has the bravery to actually pull on leash, they shouldn't be taught to not.
yeah, that's a good
First, they
point.
must have the ability to drag you. Then,
Hmm.
once they have that, then you rein them in and make
Hmm.
them not drag you. But
Yeah.
first, they must have that confidence to go forward. And I see so many dogs that people are teaching loose leash to their puppies before they have that, and they squelch. I'm going to say 30 to 40% of confidence and potential out of that puppy before it ever happens.
Oh, in the stock dog world, when I first started 30 years ago, that was what people said from day one. Was yeah, never let them jump on you, never let them pull on the leash. Get them just they gotta be like I mean they basically just like act like some Amish child that is I'm not no offense to Amish people. I don't know if I might be talking out of my ass here, but
Way to
um
offend a minority group.
I'm a minority group too, hun. And so are you, immigrant.
Continue.
That was really good. But it's like kids should be seen and not heard kind of thing.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I have my dogs. I've bred my dogs for 20 years now. This is my same line of dogs that I've had for 20 years. And and the and I they have an extreme amount of mental fortitude, and I've learned that I've learned through letting them go through that like puppy anything goes stage that I probably should have started doing something a little bit more structured with them when they were younger. I want them to be so confident that if I do have to correct them for something, then it's, oh, okay, I just won't do that now. Versus, oh my goodness, the world is falling down around me. And and so I think it's just really important to know. I always give them the first chance of being a little wild, actually, and then teach them a few things and realize what kind of resilience they have. And if they don't really have that much, then it's going to be a totally different story than if the dog is that Rose dog that I was talking about. I had to be very militant with her, and she still fought me.
So what you're saying is, I think probably me raising my Malinois and my German Shepherds compared to my Border Collies,
Exactly.
or the Valhund that I have here, or my Basset Hound. Like, any
Hmm.
of the pet dogs are very different. But with the very strong dogs, I want to make sure they have that resiliency there. They're bold
Hmm.
enough that they can make their own decisions. But in these guys, that's coming at 8 and 10 weeks. It's
Yeah.
genetics. Genetics are
Yeah.
an amazing thing.
Same thing
Then
with my dogs.
from there, I'm still doing the following, all that off leash stuff, getting them to be nice people, but I am teaching them certain things to let them realize that don't screw with mother. Mother has the ability to end your life. You behave yourself, young man.
Yeah.
Because I find with my boys, if they don't learn that when they're young, it's too late. I'm always behind the 8 ball of trying to get that respect and control back because these
Hmm.
guys get so strong.
And you said something too that kind of sparked something was like at that stage when they're maturing and growing up, to me, it's okay if if it's not like an immediate result or anything. Because sure, I could go out there with a dog, with a puppy right now, and like in 10 minutes, probably have it like afraid to walk in front of me. But I don't want it to be afraid to walk in front of me. I want it to be happy to walk with me or behind me. Now, with me, because I'm so tall, I don't know if that's a good excuse or not, but I just prefer my dogs to walk behind me because if I have to turn direction any suddenly for whatever reason, I don't want to have to trip over my dog. So that's why I make him walk behind me. But also, like that's a stage of youthful development,
Mm.
whereas the dogs that it's like I have. my number one thing that I've ever done when I help people with their dog behavior is is oh yeah, my 80-pound border collie lab cross is dragging me down the sidewalk and trying to attack everybody and attack the neighbors' dogs and things like that. It's like, did you think that this was just going to magically disappear before the dog got to 80 pounds? One of my best friends, she she's like 5'1", and their dog was like she's like, yeah, she's overweight because I can't walk her anywhere because she tries to attack everybody. And so I come in and then I come down like a Nazi on her because I had to. Like even just making her walk with me provoked her to bite my leg, which ended not well for her. I didn't lose my temper or anything, but I definitely was like assertive on top of on her, not on top of her, but like on her. And until she gave in to me a little bit, I didn't back off. And by the end of the 2 hours that we were out there walking her, she was walking with us. She was happy. My friend posted later on Facebook that she went on a walk with her by herself, and she said that she's, oh my goodness, I thank you so much. This was fantastic. The first time in years that I've been able to walk my dog without her trying to do this or that. So like when they get in those habits, it's like it's okay. What do you expect to happen? What I mean, your dog is out of control and aggressive, and being the reason that we can't have dogs in hotel rooms, or being the reason that nobody wants the dog to be around them in an event. And it's like, what do you expect is going to be the answer? It's different for every dog. This one definitely needed to be assertively corrected. But again, it boils back to leadership. Because once she backed off, she learned that I was complete 100% fair. It's okay, there you go. This is where I love you, which is behind me, and this is where you could be in trouble. But I'm just gonna remind you to walk behind me. And if you try to bite me, then you're in trouble.
How'd you get them walking behind you?
There's a lot of different ways. I learned a really good one years ago. For some types of dogs, where you take them out like on a long line, like a light long line, and like to a park or some like big open area, and basically just like try to walk in a square. And but if the dog shoots over to your right, you just turn to the left and just walk. Not I'm not shrugging on them. I'm not doing anything. They'll hit the end of the leash, and I'll just hold on to it firmly. And within I did it with a few dogs back in the day, and within like a few minutes, they're like with me. They might not be walking where I want them to be, but they're at least with me and not flying off the handle.
Hmm.
Um, the other way, but again, I'm talking about my border collies that have a severely high amount of drive. So this is not something that I would try with a dog that doesn't have a lot of drive. Is I'll walk them up like on one side of me, and I'll have the leash behind me, and I'll hold the leash with my opposite hand. And when they get in front of me on that inside leg, I'll just stop with that inside leg, and it sort of like it pops them a little bit with the leash, and I just stay consistent with it. And usually that works pretty much 100%. And I'm not using any kind of special collar, just like the regular collar. That seems to work really well. How do
I
you?
do I do a lot of that with a leash behind and then through my legs, just holding it on my belly. So it's
Hmm.
behind my legs. So every time the dog kind of shoots forward,
Uh-huh.
I don't mind them forward, but if they go too far forward, they just get feedback from my leg every step I
Hmm.
take.
Yeah.
That and they work it out. They
Yeah.
just learn that my body's really annoying.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That
Yeah.
was it was you put it right there on the table. You expect me not to bite? Um,
Thanks.
no, like that's one way. And if the dog is really obstinate, like I might grab that leash, and if they're really bad, I might jerk on it once or twice. But the one thing I never do in that is I never use a harness unless
Yeah.
there's a medical reason not to. I hate harnesses.
I use
Uh,
them when I want my dog to pull for bite work.
exactly. That's what they're meant for.
Yeah.
I love them. I love it for that stuff. Sled dogs, yeah, they
Yeah.
have to have a harness. And like you said, like when they have to pull for bite work.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Ha-
for just basic stuff, I just like a regular, nice, relatively wide collar.
I just got Harry a new harness because it's safer and it will fit him better. $350. Do you
Where
feel
did you
sad
get
for
it? The
me?
Buckingham Palace?
Germany, $350. It better fit. If it doesn't fit, I might be really, really sad. I might have to buy a new dog that fits it.
That's the best solution. I'm sure your husband is going to be happy about that decision.
Oh dear. Okay, when we were last talking, you had mentioned your book that you loved. I, I've since been very dutiful and I have read it.
Okay.
It was fascinating because it told me so much about your headspace.
Okay, that's scary. Which one? Was it the one by my professor?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It was fascinating, like listening to it. Just our different brains.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, we have
Well,
different brains, which made me realize that all these books that I'm telling people to listen to, probably people are thinking, like, wow, this tells me about her headspace.
oddly enough, I really never. That's funny that you say that because I never think that because I don't know if it's because I've been a people pleaser my whole life and which kind of makes a person a chameleon, but I can usually jump into it and find the nuggets of what they're talking about that they love so much. That book, like Commit to Win, the thing about it was I never got it in I never got it in an actual book form. I think I only have it in audio. And the end of it,
I
there's a
did
lot of work.
audio.
Yeah, and the end of it, there's some work to do, like where you have to do a little bit of work yourself. She was such a pivotal teacher to me, more than a teacher, like a mentor, to be honest. And she was so going back to some of that stuff and listening to it again and remembering my education through at Boise State was fantastic. It was a good refresher. I'm not ashamed to say I go to therapy, and I think everybody should. And one of the things that I bring up a lot is something that she taught in her classes. And I just think that they're good general communicative styles to employ whenever you need like a guide. There's a lot of stuff in there that's just really good templates, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So what did it tell you
Interesting.
about me? Did it tell you, did you think that I was even crazier than you thought I was before?
No, it made me realize that I am, how do I say this? It made me realize that you've struggled with confidence. And I
Hmm.
can't say it's something I've struggled with. So that was one of the things. And it was talking
Hmm.
like people pleasing and that. So I'm listening to her talking about how not to be a people pleaser. I'm like, maybe I should learn how.
I I actually think that you're like I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be like kiss your ass or anything, but like I think that you're actually like a pretty appropriate version like blend of like you're right in the middle in a really good way. And so like for me realizing that I was a people pleaser and realizing the the things that kind of cause that like being a perfectionist, being a people pleaser, never wanting as weird as this may sound to some people that know me, I really don't want to stand out in the way of like I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to cause a scene.
Yeah,
I mean,
me, definitely. Me too. Yep.
to the point that I remember one. I just told the story earlier, and you can edit this out if you want to. But the I don't care. But before I came out, I was at this coffee shop studying for an anthropology exam the next day or something, and I also had some classes with Dr. Reader, and this older guy, came up to me and started hitting on me, which, okay, fine, no, no, thank you, not interested. He wouldn't let up. And it was like 30, 40, 50 minutes of this guy just being a predator, basically. And the whole time, I was just like, kindly, no, I'm not interested. No, I didn't even really accept the fact that I was gay at that point until the next day. And not like but I was being a people pleaser. I didn't want to upset anybody. And it wasn't until the next day that I was driving back into school. And the closer I got to Boise, the more I almost felt dirty. And so I went to Dr. Reader and I said, "Hey, I have a question for you because if anybody's been objectified, it's probably her because she's this tall, thin, blonde, beautiful person." And I said, "This happened and I just feel gross, and it's I feel like I feel like I have a glimpse into what it's like to be objectified by people like women are all the time." I I said, "At what point is it okay to go from like nice guy responses to bitch 2.0?" And she gave me like full permission. She's like, "The minute you say no, that's it. After that, the gloves are off." And it was really interesting. And because I never had that kind of permission, but I didn't like losing my shit. After realizing it, it's like now when I set a boundary with anything, it's and I dealt with this with my ex's mother. She would try to like do stuff with my dogs, and I said, "Don't ever do that with my dogs. I don't want you to do that." And she would argue with me, and she would just try to get her way, and I would spend like an hour and a half trying to explain to her why, like the science behind it, the psychology behind it, the training reasons behind it, the safety behind it. And and so now it's like my pendulum is going the other way, where it's like you have one shot to respect my boundary, and then comes out like a version of me that I really don't want people to see.
I
So it's about
believe
moderation.
I believe that being a dog trainer is us as people, we have incredibly clear boundaries because it's what we do for a living, like with dogs.
Hmm.
Like it's just yes, no, and then sticking to it either way. Like to be a good dog trainer means that you can say no and that you can say yes and that you can believe it in your soul with whatever word you're saying. So we have to be very clear with our boundaries and very comfortable saying no. But I think learning to say no is a skill. I don't think anyone has that. It's something we have to learn as we hit adulthood.
I never had a problem with dogs. I've always set pretty clear boundaries with dogs. But like last time you asked me if my youth, my success as a young person was a good thing or a bad thing. I think it exacerbated everything because I think people looked at me, even though I don't know how anybody could have looked at me at 16 or 17 and thought that I was arrogant. But I was told constantly by family and by other people that it's, oh, don't say that. You'll sound cocky. You don't want to sound cocky. And really what I was saying was just in that moment, I was being confident. I learned how to apologize for a lot of things early on, and I learned how to just fit in to this version of myself that everybody wanted me to be, rather than like having a solid and confident opinion. And so I'm really unpacking a lot of that and really just trying to not care what people say or think. It's fine. Think the worst of me. Fine, whatever. I don't care. And there was just one of my mentors said, she was like, just at the end of the day, somebody else's opinion of me is none of my business. And I've really tried to like employ that. But I'm great with setting boundaries with animals because they still like you. In fact, they might even like you more. But with
They
people,
do,
it's
yes.
yeah, and like the with people, I wanted to be liked. And because I grew up, I wasn't popular. I was, in fact, I was the butt of a lot of jokes because I was this tall, skinny kid that didn't know how to do his curly red hair, and I was wearing Wranglers and Western wear. I got made fun of a lot. I was conditioned to want to be liked and fit in rather than stand out and be myself. I think that's one of the most terrifying things that adolescent people go through is the desire to
Yes.
be liked
Yes.
and fit in. Because it's tough to stand out. It's tough. People try to throw weapons at you when you're at the top of the mountain because you're the only one there. Own the fact that you're the only one there because you've done something that they've only ever dreamed
Mhm.
about.
Mhm. I agree.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It's true. I got distracted drawing a circle. I had something very powerful that I was going to say back, and then I drew a
Drawing a
circle
circle.
and squirrel.
Are you sure we're not related? We need to
Uh,
do need to do like an ancestry DNA thing and see how closely related we are, because I'm pretty sure that we're a part of each other's family tree.
it was a really good circle.
Like, I'm proud of you. They're hard to do.
I've already erased it, so it's gone now. I agree with everything you've said. And I think adolescence teaches us so much of that. But I see in a lot of my clients that are struggling with their dogs don't believe them, is because they're people pleasers. So they're
Mm,
never quite being honest with themselves. They're
hmm
always being a chameleon to change into the next person that they need to please that next person that they're engaging with. And their dogs don't believe them. And it's not until they can stand up and just say no or be honest about who they are that then their
hmm
dogs will start believing them and relating to them. So I think
hmm
so much about training dogs is making us be better people. They teach us all of our lessons if we
hmm
want to get into it at a more competitive level.
They teach you the tools in a pretty safe environment. Be I've told that I what you just said resonated so well with so many situations that I've dealt with, because it's no, tell your dog he's wrong because he's wrong. He's still gonna like you. It's I catch myself all the time not disagreeing with people that I disagree with, because I shouldn't care if this person likes me. But with dogs, the nice thing about it is like they're gonna love us anyway, so we can correct the behavior and they're not going to be mad at us.
Hmm.
And I that's a really good point that you made, because they teach us the positive behaviors in a very safe environment.
And dogs will not let us lie to ourselves or to them.
Oh no,
You have to be honest.
they call you out on your shit all the time.
They call you out in your shit, but some people are living this lie that they just can't get these lessons that have been given to them again and again and again and again. And I'm thinking of one of my people as I say this. Names will
Yeah,
not slip from my lips.
I'm thinking of one too that I I gave I'll tell you the scenario, but this person probably doesn't won't ever hear this, and if she does, I don't care. But there was this person with a dog that
That's
was
the
a pretty
spirit.
I really don't, because she could come into my clinics because of this, which is fine. I don't care. And actually, another person quit talking to me because I called her out on her shit. Like this one person I was setting sheep with at a dog trial. It was really hot. The sheep were not easy to set, and her dog kept like not lying down when she told us to lie down. And it's not like I really needed help with the setting, like each set, but I couldn't trust anybody else to do it, because every time I tried to let somebody else just do it, then something would go wrong and I'd have to fix the whole thing, which takes more energy than just going out there and doing it myself. I finally just snapped and I was like, oh my God, like this wouldn't be happening if you would just lie your dog down, if they would just make him stop. And I really got really pissed because I was working 10 times harder than I needed to, not to mention my dog, poor Nell. I was running Nell in the trial, so it was a shit show. But the other person, this this is when I started to realize like I do really have a big presence. I let the person work her dog, and always the same problem. 6 clinics into it with me, the dog still won't listen. The dog's not listening, laying down or whatever, and it's coming up and cheap shotting the sheep. And in fact, at one point, I don't think this was during my clinic, but she would go to this place and work her dog. At one point, the dog ravaged the sheep so bad that they had to put stitches on this ewe's hind legs, which is just not right.
That's not cool.
I lost it on her, and I told her I was like, this isn't a game. These sheep don't want to be here. They don't want to be used as training tools. This is not a game. These are not your play toys. And it's either do what I say and make it happen, or just quit doing this. And I was like, you're letting your dog harass and abuse livestock I think I told her, if you came to my place and your dog did that to my sheep, I would be taking my sheep to the most expensive vet that I could find, and you'd be paying the bill. I was never, I should have started the relationship out as assertive, and I started it out as trying to be a people pleaser. And like I said, anymore, I don't, I care if I offended somebody. Obviously, I care about that. I don't want to offend anybody.
Of course, me
Um,
too.
yeah, but and if somebody clocked me on that and be like, "Hey, you know what? That was an offensive joke. I took offense to that." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. That was not the intention, and I'll thank you for sharing that with me, and I really do apologize." Because let's face it, my sense of humor can be like, I should probably stop watching roast battles like on Comedy Central.
I love that woman you sent me. She's amazing.
Oh, I was like, if Monique were a lesbian, this would be her.
She's super. Ah, yeah, I love her.
Yeah,
All right. Off topic.
not us.
Were you always
Never.
clear with your boundaries with dogs? You must have been because you were super successful right off the bat, which means,
Yeah, I think so. Because like, I didn't like with my first dog, I didn't have the timing to. What I mean by timing is not just the timing for a command or a correction, but the timing as far as like, when you're working livestock, the one of the things that people miss or they struggle to work on. Even though I know they maybe they don't miss it, but they're working on it to get better, and it takes time. So it's not this is not shaming people at all because that's just part of the deal. But I would ask him to do something when it wasn't the right time to do something. Say lie down. If I just
yeah.
wanted to, he's on the other side of the sheep and I wanted him to lie down. If I lay him down and he's not quite to the point that he's the stalker coming straight to me, or if I lay him down and that's going to let the animals get away, then he's not going to trust. He didn't trust me as much as I would have liked. He was not biddable. I also grew up riding horses, and our first horse was a little bit of a shit. She was a perfect horse to learn to ride on because she was a short horse, so it wasn't very far to the ground if she bucked you off. And she was easily fixed. All you had to do is be a little threatening to her. And, hey, you're doing this and you're not listening to me. You better listen to me. So I was pretty good with that.
Have you
And
always had your presence,
um,
or did dogs build that along the way?
probably both. I got into dogs so young, it's hard to think back to what I was like before I was 15. I
My
mean, I learned.
presence, I learned it on my dog Reggie. I had none prior to that. I think I had a bit, like it was at the beginning, I had none. I just had a
Mhm.
hot temper and then learned not to do that. And then I was had the appropriate presence for the dogs that I was working with. And then I got Reggie, who was a whole different caliber of dog. And
Oh, I
he taught
remember.
he taught me presence.
That dog scared the shit out of me the first two times that I met him. And then we went on that walk down that path and we were playing in the water
Yeah.
and he he basically brought me to me like a cord of wood in one stick. Here, throw this for me
Through this
and
tree.
yeah, throw this old growth redwood for me. That'll be great. And then after that I was like, okay, now I get you. I trust you. They definitely helped build it. I definitely had a temper too, but that was it's hard to say if it was nature or nurture, but I hate working livestock with my family, especially like my uncle, because it's you do one thing happens, which is inevitable when you're working livestock. It's just not just like apportioning blame. Yeah, you shouldn't have you stepped to the left when you should have stepped to the right or whatever. But it's like an explosion of obscenities and emotional trauma. But once I got Jim trained, Jim was my first dog. I I definitely started setting firmer boundaries And then by the next year, it took me like a year and a half to develop pretty good timing and pretty good handling skills because I started running a different dog. I quit running gym for a minute on and off. I did run him like I think I ran him like through 97. But like Jim I had to be like super huge with. And then my second dog Sam I had to be like I got big with him, but then it's okay. I've overdone it. Like I've overworked him. I'm burning him out because I'm working him so much. Not that I was putting a ton of pressure on him. It was just I enjoyed working him. And then I got this dog named Mickey that I was training for somebody. He was the one that helped allowed me to develop good timing, like when I was running them. And then I got Heidi's litter mate, Nell. It was my first Nell. She really helped me with timing, but also like my first clinic really helped me with that. And I read this book by Bruce Folk called Lessons with a Stock Dog, and I totally really recommend that book, at least just for a reference to get more tools in your tool belt.
Who's the
Um,
author?
Bruce Fogt, Fogt.
Thanks.
It's a short book, and what I love about it is he talks about the mistakes he made along the way and how he fixed them, and then also how he does it now. That really helped. The thing that I liked about my education versus what's going on now is that when I was learning how to do this, I was I was reading things. We
Hmm.
didn't have videos. We didn't have very many videos. I did get Glenn Jones's videos, Come By and Away, That'll Do, and Take Time. I don't know if they're available for download or on disc or anything, but I still have them on VHS. And they were really good in some ways. But like I was reading everything. I read books, I read articles, and so the thing that I think that does for people now that these online deals don't do is that reading it, you are forced to process the information in your brain and then try it. And
Hmm.
if it doesn't work, then it's like, okay, maybe I misread it. So you go back to that chapter, you read it again, and think about it. And because this world of technology, I mean, we're training ourselves to be addicted to 60-second reels and versus sitting down and actually processing information from reading it, interpreting it, and exercising our own brains, which I think is a real shame.
I have found like watching Instagram videos, like you see it, it's so easy as you see it. Yeah, I can do that. And then you go do it, you have absolutely no clue. So I
Yeah.
then realized from there I had to break it down into like screenshots and
Hmm.
study the different things of what they were doing. But just
Hmm.
looking at real, I'm absolutely useless at replicating it afterwards.
Yeah. I do a lot of stuff out moving around, and I'm super anal retentive about making sure the videos look good. It's a nice background, the sheep look nice, or the cows look nice, or whatever. I don't like ugly videos. I like it to all look like nice. And I can't do that while I'm trying to whistle with my fingers and back up or walk backwards and try to show what I'm trying to do. I have two videos that I really love of Nell, my current one, where I sent her like a kilometer to gather sheep in, excuse me, that was rude, in Switzerland. Burping happens, folks. But I sent her like a kilometer and it was just like a silent gather. I was just letting her fetch sheep to me in two different fields. And that one I'm quite proud of because it was, for one, it was beautiful, but also like she did a nice job and it was just it was easy for me to watch the camera and not because I wasn't directing her. And they were pretty nice silent gathers, especially from a kilometer away. But yeah, like the reels and stuff like that, I can look at it. That's cool. That was a cool moment. It was a cool flash of what was going on.
Hmm.
But then again, like the videos, I think they're a benefit, but they're also a curse because some people show some difficult situations that we do with our dogs, and and maybe it was necessary for that dog to bite that sheep in the face or bite that cow, but maybe also what's that what is that showing? It's also like giving fuel to these people that are quite dangerous to the sport and to dog training and everything else. Because I'm sure every dog trainer out there can relate to this. If you took a 15, 20, 30-second clip of something that you did with your dog one time when you were like developing or correcting a behavior, if it was edited poorly, it would be catastrophic. Um,
Absolutely.
and when in reality, it's like there's most likely there was like 5 to 30 minutes before that was like leading up to this, and then the 5 to 30 minutes behind it that was like just like positive encouragement or whatever. Pe People like to disassemble and rearrange things we say and do. And so we have to be careful of that, which again, just totally fuels my anxiety and people pleasing. So life's great, Monique. Wait, did that come across aggressive? I didn't want it to come across aggressive. I wanted to come across. I was agreeing with you. Did you get that? Oh my
Shut
God, I
up.
can't believe
Oh dear.
it. I'm a shit.
All right. So you're Mr. ADHD, as we've established, as am I, except I'm not a Mr. I have realized I have to train daily, or at least be mindful of it daily, or I completely forget my jobs. Are you the
Hmm.
same?
Yes. So
If I'm working out a problem with a dog,
yeah,
like I forget the progress I've made or how I got there.
yeah. If it, My thing is, I like when I work dogs, when I'm like actively training, it's like I try to train everybody 5 days a week for a minimum of 30 minutes per time. Now, if I have a dog with extra stamina or extra hard-headedness that I have to do certain things, different things, maybe wear them out because I mean, there's like the fresh adrenaline-based brain that's like, oh yeah, we got sheep in front of us. Let's go. Woohoo! It's like party time. That's great to have, but sometimes you have to get them into a thinking brain state and then move them back into that so they can be worked when they're fresh. But like what you said actually made me think of a lot of people that I know that they were trialing, but they also had like a farm and they're managing a couple hundred sheep or whatever. Er, And that this is an excuse. Well, it wasn't necessarily an excuse, but it was whatever it was. It's all day long. Like what I got to do is I got to move sheep. I got to move them from this pasture to the next. Or I got to move cows up here or down there, and I just got to send my dog and turn my back on them. And like, that's okay, but for me, what I've always done, and I've worked with a lot of sheep. I've been responsible for a lot of sheep at one time for a long time. And what I always say is, it's one thing if I have to break some sheep to learn what a dog is. I'll let the dogs get a little rough. Rough meaning like pushing a little too hard or things like that. But that's me
Fresh.
trusting, yeah, that's me trusting my dog to do what they know they need to do because I used to wean my lambs around this time every year. And lambs, when they get off their mothers, they don't have a leader. And so the dogs have to work a little bit harder to get things going. But that if I'm moving their mothers that I've just weaned lambs off of, is okay, I got to move you to point A to point B. I'm still going to try to make my work look pretty. And
Hmm.
that's, I think, goes in line with what you're saying is I need to just make my work look pretty. I don't want it to be, if I ask you to stop, you're gonna stop. If I ask for a direction in this shape, I want you to go a little bit wider or I want you to go a little bit tighter or whatever, I'm gonna I'm gonna expect that you do it. I just keep everybody, I try my best to keep everybody as as consistent and good as possible so that sorry, I'm trying to find a phone charger so that I can make sure that everything is going well. Usually I can do that. And even if I have to do it a couple times, sometimes it's just okay, I get it. You're gonna slice in and you're gonna do this. What I need you to do is not do that. So smarten up a little bit and I'll correct in that moment. But I really never quit training. Even if I'm doing a practical job, I'm really never quitting training. I'm always enforcing a modicum of respect for my dog. Yeah.
I'm always working on something. So, where I've just had Harry for the summer, we went away for the summer,
Uh,
and where we were, there were no tracking fields. It's we're living in a little town, and then it's forest surrounding there. So there's
mhm.
no grass, no places for me to teach him tracking. For the summer, Harry has done police dog tracks. So he's been doing road crossings, going from a boulevard to a park, back across a road, around a block type of thing. But I know in like police dog tracking, you you build up some speed, total desire and motivation because you're actually going somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But the gain of that is because we don't want speed in our tracking. But the gain of that is he is so confident now, just going anywhere that it may be going, like up a hill, down a hill, across a road, across a gravel parking lot. He's gotten so good at it. And I know now he's not going to lose his track. I just said that out loud. What an idiot. But I know his desire to stick with it is huge. I would
Yeah.
be surprised if he ever let it go. So his problem solving may be a little bit messier right now because of what we've done for the summer, but I've just added so much heart to his tracking and purpose to his
Hmm.
tracking. Yeah, I think I went off topic with what you're saying, but I
No,
hear
no,
you.
it's the same thing. You upheld certain standards while you couldn't
Yes.
do that. Um,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I
We worked on a
like,
different piece of what he needs, which
yeah.
is that stick with it part.
And if I'm in a position where I like, say I was gonna like next weekend, say I'm gonna run on a trial that I know the sheep are super easy, maybe a little bit dog broke, and I know it's going to be a precision trial. Precision meaning like I can't lose any points. I need to work my hardest to make sure that I'm losing as few points as possible. If I do, but if all I have to do before that is maybe some of this, I call it like rough work, where you got to move big mobs of sheep or cows, and it's going to be a little bit difficult. As long as I enforce everything, at least enforce obedience. And usually for me, and maybe my brain works a different way than most people. I think that's one of the benefits of being ADHD is I can usually like
Mhm.
think of a lot of things while I'm doing that. It's if I take 2 minutes or if I take two or three or four, 5 times, whenever the opportunity presents itself to ask for this fancier, which I don't like that word, exhibition with my dog, then it's okay. I've got that going. The dog's still stop. My dog is still stopping correctly. He's still responding to my variations of commands the way I want him to. But I got to get this rough work done. Usually after that, if I take him out and try to fine tune like the day before I leave for the trial, which out here usually takes at least one day to get there. If I have one decent fine tuning exercise, then I go to the trial with a lot of confidence.
Mhm.
Um, but say if I was at Meeker that just finished today, I love that rough work for my dogs before I go to Meeker because those sheep are tough. There's a phrase at the Meeker Classic. It's when the sheep beat you, which they do a lot of people. It's like it's looks like this year I got Meekered. It's like just how it went. But I notice I have a higher success rate there and at trials like that when I let my dogs do that rough work because
Yes.
their brain is so engaged and they're not necessarily. I have this phrase where it's I don't train my dogs to listen to me. I train them to listen for me.
Mhm.
So if the dog's 800 yards away and I whistle softly, I still expect them to, they're hearing something because
I
they're
love
dogs.
that,
And
Derek.
yeah, I learned that actually from my friend Scott Glenn, and he never taught it to me. But I was setting sheep for him one time at the national finals. There was a practice field, and he was running a bitch named Maid, and it was windy, and it was in a wheat stubble field. So there's all the reason for her to not listen. And he would send her out, and and I'm not going to describe exactly what he did because it's not my. He hasn't given me permission, but I will say, if
Hmm.
Scott, if you're listening, thank you for teaching me this, even though you didn't know you were doing it. But he was like reinforcing his dog to listen for him. And so I do that a lot. Once the dog is trained, once they are solid on those commands, I can whistle loud enough that they can hear me from over a mile away. But that's not the point of having that kind of communication. The point is, like, when I have a young dog and they need to be like, I'll whistle loud enough that they can't not hear me. And then
Hmm.
and then as they get better and more biddable, I start softening those whistles to really, really soft, so that then they can be 300 they can, let's say they can be 200, 300 yards away from me, and I can just whistle through my teeth, and they're listening for my whistle. I also have a huge voice. Like,
Yes, you do.
what? I don't know what you're talking about, Monique. It's actually funny. I worked at a side note, ADHD moment. I worked at a restaurant that was like super fine dining for a while, and I I would get done. I got done with the night one night, and I was like bringing my receipts or something to the manager or whatever. And there was a bunch of us talking about the next day's reservations and stuff, and I was talking like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I can do that. I can be in at 4:30 instead of 5, no problem." And one of the guys was like, "What are you doing, Derek?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Why are you talking like that?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You're whispering." I was like, "Oh, it's because this restaurant is fucking quiet." And I don't want to blast my people's ears out of their head. I didn't even know I was doing that, but it made good tips.
Oh, I had another.
What?
I love what you said about your doing the rough work beforehand, because that's what my police dog track was. It's
Hmm.
fun for them. It's real. It has purpose. It
Hmm.
makes sense rather than some of the more trial like type of patterns we do. They, I think, get dull and boring for them.
Oh, totally. I fully get it that there are a lot of people, in fact, most people in my industry, like the stock dog world, that don't have access to a lot of like really high numbers of livestock
Hmm.
to be able to do that kind of rough work. So you do have to switch it up. And some of these exercises that I've learned, I've also made some that I've used with my clients, and it does keep things a little bit fresh. And sometimes there's a lot of knowledge to be gained in the monotony. Like,
Hmm.
I have this one exercise. In fact, I may have had you do it when I was in Washington. I call it the diamond, and it's a kind of more of a driving exercise, which is, for those of you who don't know, is like when you're driving the stock away from you is called a drive. Like, the dog is between you and the livestock, and they're pushing them away from you.
And it's so hard.
Oh, you wimp.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were like, people would be like, "Oh, I just don't want to do that again today." Like at a clinic, I've had people tell me that, like, "I hope I'm doing something other than what we did yesterday." I'm like, when you master what we did yesterday, then you can move on, because everything else is based on this principle. I had this gal, I forget her name off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but she had this dog, and she came to me, and she came for 5 days of lessons, 5 straight days. And I started working with her on this diamond exercise, which is, you're standing in the middle of this diamond shaped obstacle course with cones showing you where you need to go with the dog. She she did it for 5 straight days. Now, I have judged this person multiple times. I've never judged her where she made panels consistently, anything like that. It was, she didn't make the obstacles consistently. Most of the time, I had more points off of her drive than she was left with. And she did this, and then I think I judged her like a month later, maybe. She hardly lost a single point, but she
Uh-huh.
settled into the exercise and she worked it. And this dog, I saw him as a young dog, and the person that trained him just basically burned him out. And so she ended up with him, and you could see his confidence building because it was consistent, low levels of pressure and repetition, and he got it. If I had that dog, if that person gave me that dog to train, the only thing I would do with it for the first month would be just rough work. Okay, I'm going to send you out after 100 sheep and just get them to me. I don't care how you do it, buddy. Just do it. I don't care if you bite them. I know that's terrible of me to say, but because I don't want to put any pressure on you, I want you to find the fun again. But this exercise, because it was just so little pressure and it was predictable, he was happy to do it. And like I said, I couldn't have been more proud of her the next time I judged her. For those of you who don't know, sheepdog trials, you start out with a total score, and each the score is divided up into different segments. And on the drive, it's worth 30 points. I think she lost 1 point on her drive the one day.
Wow.
I was so proud of her.
Cool.
So yeah, it's great if you can go out there and do the real work and all that stuff. But even when I have real work to do, I still make it look pretty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again,
That
that came to me from reading books and like reading books about like people that helped shape the border collie breed and being like, "Oh my goodness, that's possible?" Like they did that? Damn, I thought I was good, but like I'm not that good. Better go out and get that good.
I think that's it with all of the sports, like conversations with my service dog trainer yesterday, the police dogs, like within all of these sports, what dogs are capable of doing is beyond our
Hmm.
imagination.
Yeah.
We so undertrain or under expect. I think it's under expectation is probably a bigger thing. Like we get so focused on, oh, I'm going to teach him to sit and stay, not realizing that you can go teach a dog to detect one cell of cancer. Think bigger.
Yep.
We so underwhelm them, and we reward kindergarten forever rather
Yep.
than realizing they can actually get a PhD. Move them on
Hmm.
now.
I couldn't agree with you more. Um, and for me, at least for me personally, like my goal is always to be the best of the best, and I want to, and it still is. I want to be dangerous wherever I go when I'm competing, or if I come to your place, or if I'm visiting you and the neighbor has 500 sheep that they lost, and they come over and be like, "Hey, can you guys help me find sheep?" I want to be able to go over there and do the whole thing by myself with just my dog, and I want no job to be too big. But see, that's me. And I get it. That's not for everybody. That's one thing I had to realize is that not everybody has the same ambitions that I do and or expectations. And I remember one time I was at a trial and this person, again, my lips were sealed on the name, but I was working at this trial. I was helping set sheep, but I was also running at it, and I needed to go to the meeting at there's two fields, and I went to the meeting at the other field. This person I'm walking through, I just got done putting sheep up, and I'm just trying to rush around trying to get everything my job done and probably 10 other people's jobs done. And I was walking through this gate, and all walking down to the meeting, and this person had their dog on like a 15-foot leash that was aggressive to other dogs, especially male dogs. And I actually knew this dog to be aggressive towards people too. And I'm walking through. My dog is walking politely behind me, and this person like unleashes on me, like, "Oh my God, is that a male dog? Keep him away from my dog because she hates male dogs." And I was like, "Maybe it's your job to keep your dog away from mine. I'm working here." I was like, "Besides, why do you let your dogs drag you all over the damn place?" And she's like, "Derek, some dogs just can't handle that kind of pressure." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're the reason." Going back to what we were talking about, you're the reason I can't have a dog in a hotel room.
Mhm.
Like my dog is being perfectly polite, and that dog particularly was never study. He was never like the dog to go up and try to mount everything. and it's just like this level of expectation. It's like it only is pressure when you make it pressure. Like when I won Meeker with Nell in 2018, I was interviewed by a friend afterwards, and she's like, you just it seems like you take a lot of risks. Like you're always running on the edge. You're you're asking this. And it
No
wasn't a
one
criticism.
no one
So
won by playing safe.
yeah, that's the point.
Huh.
And what I told her, she wasn't painting it this way, but it could have been perceived as this way. She said it as a token of admiration. She was
Yeah.
not being ugly.
Yeah.
In fact, can I plug somebody real quick?
Sure.
Vicky Close from Farm Diggity. She videos a lot, lots of people's runs. She videoed my run that day, and she interviewed me afterwards. It was a very fun interview. She's a really sweet person. Her and her husband Norm are super nice people. She's like, you just it seems like you're always running on the edge. And I told her, like, my response was like, I don't think of it as that because I train I'm like that's not the first time I've asked my dog to do that particular thing. Like I've worked on that with her, and it's not pressure to her because she's been trained properly to do it. And what it was on my if anybody wants to watch it, it's on YouTube. It's just look up sheepdog Derek Fisher sheepdog Meeker 2018. I was going across the field on the drive on the cross drive, and I overcorrected one way, and then so I was going to miss the panels that way. So then I overcorrected the other way. I was panicking because I was having a good run, and then I caught it. But instead of stopping my dog before I turned her on the opposite flank, I just blew a big opposite flank, and she turned like a cutting horse and just went right around him, and we made a nice turn. It was cool. I'm not gonna lie. Nell was an amazing dog to run. I was very blessed to have her. But I was like, that's not the first time I've tried that. So it's not pressure to her. Like she enjoys it. And it's like you said, I if I train at a kindergarten level, I shouldn't expect them to pass a PhD level exam.
Hmm.
Um, but if you go up through that process, then the process is actually really fun.
Hmm.
And to me, it builds my confidence. So whether I'm doing real work with my dogs or whether I'm going to a trial, like that's one thing with Nell and Heidi specifically. When entered a trial with them, the field couldn't be too big, the weather couldn't be too bad, the sheep couldn't be too horrible. I'm not saying we won everything under those situations. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I went into it knowing full well that my partnership with my dog, we were a match for the challenges. And that's a really beautiful place to be.
You have to train for every situation that can get thrown at you. And then on trial day, when you're asked, do you mind if this happens? No, no, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You just have to roll with the punches because
Yeah.
that's what trialing is. It's about what shit can get thrown at you that's going to rattle everyone else. And is it going to rattle you also?
Yeah.
So when you're training, don't just train within the rules. Like think outside the
Mm-hmm.
box. Like
Mm-hmm.
what could possibly go wrong here in this exercise that I have to do? Then train all of that. Be prepared.
Mm-hmm. So to that point, one last story with that. Not last, I probably have 1,000 of them, but the first weekend that I was at a trial with my dog Heidi, that I won both days of the Open was in, I want to say it was like 1998 or 99, maybe 2000 with Heidi. It was in Scioto, Oregon. And my friend Mike Hubbard was judging. And I don't know what was going on at the setup pen. I really don't know. But they couldn't keep the sheep set. It was difficult for the setup crew to keep the sheep set, which the outrun wasn't huge, but it was a tough trial because you're running against everybody that's great in the Northwest. And in fact, Scott Glenn was running his dogs Dan and Fly, and if you want to talk about tough competition, they were about as tough as you could find at that time. I have the utmost respect for Scott. I walked out, and Mike is sitting on this flatbed trailer behind the post to judge, and I'm standing there, and they get a radio down there. We're sending this group of sheep down. We can't keep them set. Okay. 5 sets did that. 5 sets just ran right past my dog, Heidi and I. And I was like, and Heidi was a pretty excitable dog. So I was thinking like Jesus Christ, like this is I'm gonna have the worst run of my life. She's gonna be so amped up, and I'm overthinking everything, which I'm sure comes as a shock to people that are listening to me talk because I'm so stable. And Mike looks down at me and he's, at least if this is gonna happen to anybody, it happens to you two because you guys, this isn't gonna phase you. And I was thinking to myself, like, Mike, if only you know what was going on inside of my head. Like, I'm just thinking, like, oh my God, Heidi's gonna go up there and just turn into Hurricane Heidi. But it didn't. And I don't know why it didn't, but it didn't. Maybe I was more on guard and I was more like into the run or whatever. Like, I was waiting for it to happen, so I was like stopping it from happening. She worked perfectly. I think we lost 9 points that day. It was great. But but yeah, like you said, you train for every scenario. Think outside the box. Like I've given lessons to people and clinics where they're like, I just want to do this. I just need to get this certification or whatever. And nothing against people that run in other organizations. That's not the point. I just say if you train for everything, then this is nothing. And it's also more fun for your dog.
In my sport, when the high winds and the storms come up, like when you have those awful days where the wind is just going with that rain that hits you sideways in the face,
Hmm.
that's when I jump in my car and go tracking because that's what you're going to get in trial day. Like, don't wait
Hmm.
for perfect. Go in the middle of the day in the heat. Go in the biggest storms. Like,
Uh-huh.
expose them to everything.
It goes back to what one of my really dear friends, Joe Haynes, says. Actually, Joe is like the guy that they own the
Yeah,
place that we worked at.
yeah,
And so he said, he's like, yeah, when I'm home, and of course in Washington where they're at, it's if it gets 85, 90 degrees, that's hot. He's like, I go out there and I work my dogs in the heat. I work my dogs in the rain. I work my dogs in the snow and everything. And it's true because I mean, for both of our sports, especially tracking and things like
yep,
that, you can't predict you can't like not go tracking because there's a blizzard. That's why you need to go tracking.
yep.
And like with the stock dogs, people that criticize farmers just really it burns my butt when people do that because it's like those guys are out there in the rain, in the snow, in the sleet, in the ice, the everything. They're taking care of those animals. If I have a buyer coming to buy some of my lambs or my breeding ewes or something, and I've got to be out there to get that job done. So they've got to work through it. Now, obviously, through you have to exercise caution to some point. But actually, I said this at a clinic one time, and some of the people decided to distort it to try to make me sound like a monster. If I don't have the work, I exercise my dogs in all weather. I'll run them up to 25 miles a day. Like I'll trot them, but I trot them on a ditch bank or on a canal bank. So if I'm trotting them, I don't really care the temperature. Like if it's warm, I just trot a little bit slower. I let them go to water more often. I read their bodies. I watch how they're doing it. If they need to go back, then we go back. Or if we need to stop, we stop. If I need to rest for 20 minutes, I rest for 20 minutes. But I build them up. So for one, I know what kind of heat tolerance and stamina they really have. But also because if I'm going to a trial, again, I'm referencing Meeker a lot, but it's on my mind because it just happened this last week. If I'm at Meeker and I pull up in the middle of the day when it's really hot at 7,000 feet elevation, I want to know that my dogs are fit enough to do the job. And
Exactly.
and and so don't get me wrong, when I'm at trials like that, I'm doing everything I can to give them all the tools they need to be successful. It's conditioning just like an Olympian gets conditioned. You work out, then you rest. You work out, then you rest.
Yep.
And I do push them, but I only push them because I can. Oh, sorry.
In the heat of summer, like we would go out and train in the heat of summer, but I want Harry to be giving me like maximum speed, maximum effort on the hottest days of the year, because inevitably that's when we have trials. So that's
Yeah.
just the way it is. So what it means is I have to go out there and I have to give him 100% of myself. He has to give
Hmm.
me 100% of his self, but we're doing it for 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, then
Hmm.
10 minutes. Like we're
Hmm.
building up to it so that
Hmm.
now he can go out and do it. And it's not an issue because we've been working on it since the spring.
Yeah.
But you have to methodically get them built up and prepared for this. Likewise, I can also go take him for a bike ride in the heat of the middle of the day because I've been building him up for that. Like he's
Hmm.
conditioned. He's conditioned for summer heat.
Hmm.
But we
Well, just
compete
like the day, oh,
outside, right?
just yeah, exactly. I mean, sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I was just gonna say, just like the day that we took that bike ride.
Yeah.
Um, it was a hot day.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I was sweating my balls off. And so
Yeah.
like when you were like, "Hey, let's take them to the water," I'm like, "That's a great idea," because I needed to cool off. My dogs were fine, but they definitely enjoyed the break.
Yeah.
And here where at in Idaho, it's very arid. There's not a whole lot of humidity. We do get some, but that's why I run them on a canal bank. And I might stop in the middle of the run and just take them for a walk so they can go play. It's never just strenuous and negative. It's like they enjoy it. They love going on their four-wheeler rides.
Oh yeah.
Um, but and at the same time, especially when I'm in Idaho, because I've lived in other areas, when I'm before I go to trials like Meeker or Soldier Hollow or the Nationals, depending on where it's at, I take them to the mountains and and they're I'll be running them at 11,000 feet. And it's just I just trot them until when they get tired, they can either hop on the bike and take a break, and we can keep going on our little route, or every chance I get for water, they go to water. That's all positive stuff. Fortune favors the well prepared,
Yeah.
and it's like the more prepared I am, the luckier I get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Said.
and also for me too, if I'm fit and it's, like I said, back in the days when I used to run, I got to get back to those days, by the way.
Too.
Like I said, I look like Santa Claus, but
Except you're a redhead, but yeah.
I could get a wig. But the more fit I am, the clearer my head is, and the more I'm ready for everything in the heat or whatever, or the cold or any of it. And it's not a surprise. And like what you said, going back to something you said, like train for everything and so you're prepared for everything. And like, one of my favorite stories from a guy that I'll never meet because he's passed away, but every border collie goes back to his dogs. He lived in like the border regions of England and Scotland, and they had a major snowstorm come through. So he was packing feed to his sheep, and at one point he's like, "This is stupid. I'm packing feed 2 miles to sheep. The sheep need to come to the feed." So he goes out there with his some of his dogs. He he sorted out 10 or 20 of his strongest, biggest ewes, and and he cut a path with a snow shovel. The sheep followed him because his dog Nell, which was like a three-time Scottish national champion, she pushed the sheep behind him so that they would forge a bigger path. And his other dogs, I think two dogs, Craig and Roy, I know were two of them, they brought the rest of the mob behind the path that was forged. And I read that story and it actually brought kind of tears to my eyes because it's just a beautiful expression of the resilience and the determination and the partnership between a person and their dog. And they know that they need to get a job done. And he said, as even though that little dog has won everything and all these accomplishments, I've never been prouder of her than I was in that moment because she didn't give up. She kept going. They worked together. And that is something that people that don't push and try to achieve great things, they're missing out, in my opinion, on the opportunity to have that kind of like connection and that kind of relationship and that kind of pride that you have in your dogs. I've never had to do that necessarily, but there's been moments like that I was super proud of. Um,
Yeah, we're talking about weather and stuff like that. Like where I live, we may only get snow 2 or 3 days a year, but guaranteed it's going to be on the windiest, coldest one of those days that I'm having lambs. That's the day
oh,
you
of
have
course.
3 sets of triplets that get born. And then your dog has to go out in that snow, bring them in. Oh, with
Hmm.
a mother's just had lambs. Like, it's amazing what they can do. Like, Pippa
Hmm.
doesn't get to do much sheep work, but she's just incredible what
Oh,
she's able to do.
what you just said proves what we were talking about is like the there's no pause on farming. There's no pause on ranching. There's no pause
No.
on raising livestock. And like you said, inevitably, I think I even have a picture on Facebook somewhere where I said, yeah, of course my ewes decide that the coldest day of the year, it's -9 outside.
Yes.
My sheep decide that today's the day we're going to start lambing.
Yes. It's always the way.
And oh yeah, it's never not that way.
Yeah. Uh,
Mm.
Dogs
What?
are amazing. They really are. Just last week, we were north of here, and Harry started losing his shit. Then he starts getting hackles and he won't let it go and he's just barking. It was a cougar across the road.
Oh God.
And then once he started going, Pippa joined in, Maui joined in. I had this group of dogs that were losing it at the fence line and I let them. I just went up there and Harry, good boy, you get him.
Yep.
Just told him. And then some poor civilian goes walking past. I'm like, you might not
Yeah.
want to. It was
I like
some
that you call him a
tourist.
civilian.
Some poor tourist from Europe goes past it, doesn't speak English very well. So you might not want to go that way.
I love that you just call this poor
Civilian.
bastard a civilian. I'm gonna start referring to non-dog trainers as civilians. That's- Why is that so funny to me? Shit. That's hilarious. Exactly. Actually, that's actually something that's interesting, and I don't know if you'd ever want to talk to somebody about this, like that is more experienced than I am. But that's one thing I love about guard dogs, livestock guardian dogs.
Yes.
They totally recognize intention. So, like my old neighbor, him and I didn't see eye to eye. We'll put it that way. I fucking hated the bastard. That's basically what I mean. And he always had dogs that would come out and try to attack me when I go running by his house. And they lived like like I don't know, 3/4 of a mile away from us. And I was again back in my running days, and I would go running, and his dogs would come out, and they would try to like kill my dogs, and I would defend my dogs, but then when they came out, I would scream at them. And then when I say scream, I mean I sounded like a banshee. Why don't you just tie these dogs up or put them in a kennel or something? My nephew and niece could be riding by here. Do you really want that kind of lawsuit? And so I had these two guard dogs, BB and Seamus. Seamus was by far the best guard dog I've ever seen. And so they ended up renting a place like just a little like down the road from us, which is farther away from them, and to raise their calves or whatever, put them in a feedlot or something like that. They come like barreling down the road, and now there's four-wheelers that go up and down that road all the time. My dogs knew when those four-wheelers were coming down the road, and they would chase them the entire length of our pasture. And one night, like the guy comes up, I'm coming home from walking dogs. It's probably 9 o'clock at night, and I'm walking up our lane to go put my dogs up, and because I like walking at night, it's peaceful. And and he comes flying up my driveway, and I turned around. I was like, "What do you want?" Because I was never. I. He's one of those people that I don't. Maybe I should have been nice to him because it would be an unfamiliar sensation. But
Especially
I.
you as a people pleaser.
Oh, I wasn't a people pleaser with him. Nope. Talk about boundaries. He came out and confronted me one time, but he comes flying up the driveway. He's like, "Where's your dad?" I was like, "He's in bed. Come back during normal business operating hours." BB was like the nicest Anatolian shepherd you could ever ask to have in your life. She was so sweet. I have pictures of my friends' kids like sitting on the ground with her licking their faces and all that. She's just a sweetheart. She was ready to jump over that damn fence and attack him that night. And I was like, and I was watching this and I was like, oh my God, it's so weird because she loves everybody, but she hated him because she recognized intention. And then there was another time when I wasn't at home and some guy in some beat up car or whatever, like pulls into our driveway, knocks on the front door, which was not like, it wasn't the intuitive door to knock on because
Yep.
of the way the house was built. And my mom's home alone. And this guy's like a quote unquote vacuum salesman, kind of something like that. My mom was telling me the story later. She's like, BB and Seamus were just ready. They were just raising hell. I'm like, they the guy was dangerous.
Hmm.
And the weird thing is I've listened to this podcast about a serial killer, and he was doing a lot of the same things, very similar things. I'm like, Mom, thank God they were there. I mean, with the one night with when Lance is his name, by the way. I'm not gonna go into any further. Actually, if anybody wants to hate mail him, I would totally let them. I'm not kidding. I hate the guy. And if I would have opened that gate, she would have unleashed on him. And it's just funny, like they are like dogs are so such great judges of character. And like with Reggie, for example,
Hmm.
I never felt like I was threatened by him, but I definitely had to prove myself to him somehow. Like he expected that. And so I was always respectful of him because he's your dog first off, and so I knew he was fine. But at the same time, there's just something about him that was like an energy that we were like our energies hadn't like mixed until that day at that little like pool in that
Hmm.
creek. And then I was like, oh, now he's like my favorite German Shepherd I've ever met.
Hmm.
And he was, I love that. After that, I was like, okay, now I love this dog because I know we've got each other now. Yeah, and yeah, BB and Seamus, it's just weird. Like they just know. My first guard dog actually almost ripped my ex-brother-in-law's face off, and I wish he would have. Because I was gone, and my dad, one of my ewes was lambing, and she was having trouble. So my dad and my ex-brother-in-law got and catch this ewe, and my dad's like, okay, just okay, Chad, just hold her head and just hold her down. Like I gotta pull this lamb. And our dog, his name was Simba. I called him the Sheep King because he was awesome. And he just sat there like an inch away from Chad's face the entire time. You mess up one time, and that's it. I was like, God, I wish you would have just bit him.
I use Pippa in my business. I run Off Leash Socials, which is a group for reactive dogs that
Uh-huh.
they all get to be off leash and go run and be dogs. Because it's something these dogs never get to actually have is that freedom, the chance to just go, be free, like
Uh-huh.
swim, do whatever the hell you want. But Pippa will literally screen them for me. And
Uh-huh.
if so, I always know if a dog there is dangerous because she leaves.
Okay.
She just disappears. If a dog there is getting too excitable, too aroused, she'll intervene if they're running and playing and cut them off. If
Uh-huh.
they have crossed that line and they're chasing someone about to be inappropriate, she'll just go get them. She's unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
She's always exactly where she needs to be. I don't have to say anything. She's just there. She does it. And she runs a really good class.
Well, that makes me think of something like, do you think as a dog trainer, I won't tell you this, do you think as a dog trainer that your intuition is more sharpened because you train animals?
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say because I totally feel that way. I have had interactions with people where there's a little voice in the back of my head that's she's too comfortable with you too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But like my gut was telling me the entire time, like it's like I should have listened to my body because my entire body got like physically ill. And it's like, why am I so uncomfortable around this person? Because I can usually handle anybody. Hell, I handled you for a long time.
It's because I'm perfect, Derek.
I know. But no, it's just one of those things where it's, I think that we're I mean, we have the gift of verbal communication. Dogs don't always have that gift. Some dogs kind of like they're vocal and things like that, and you can interpret like that kind of bark versus this kind of bark. Because there's a totally difference within hey asshole, I need to let out, I gotta go pee versus intruder alert, warning, warning. And but like other than that, like the way they communicate with themselves is something different than what we normally employ. But yet we work with them, and so therefore we develop an intuition and then empathy where it's almost like you can feel what other people are feeling or whatever, or what the dog is feeling.
I came to realize that's why feel is called feel, because initially you're seeing it and you get to a stage you actually are experiencing it. Like
I-
that emotion, that feeling is within you.
yeah,
So it took me a long time to realize that. And it was you that actually taught me that.
that's one thing that do truly believe that I was gifted with from whatever higher power you believe in, or nothing, or whatever, genetics, whatever, is I've always been able to feel other people's emotions.
Me too.
And
I could read a
and
room. As a
yep,
kid, I could read a room. As an
yep,
adult, I can read a room. And I would say when I went to Germany, and so I'm around all these dog trainers and I do not speak German, I then learned how to really read emotions and
hmm,
understand nonverbals. I would
yeah,
know what they were talking about, even though I
hmm,
don't speak German. Now, I wouldn't know what they were saying or anything like that, but I knew the emotion, I knew the topic. I
yep.
had a fairly good idea about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the first clinic that I ever did where there was like multilingual people there was in Quebec, and my friend Matthew had me up there, and like shout out to Matthew, he's a great guy. He's actually the guy that ended up with Queen, and I love this guy. He's so sweet and so nice. I don't speak French. I know a little bit of French. I get exactly what you mean because they'd be joking about me, and some of them didn't even speak any English, so it was a weird. It was a weird moment, but like we got each other's energy, and I knew they were joking about me, and so I would just jump in and be like, "Hey, I know you guys are making jokes about me, but that's not cool," or "Ha ha ha," whatever. I wish I knew the actual joke, but it was all good vibes, and but yeah, but like taking that back into the competition thing, like intuitively when I feel like when I gotta smack this out of the park, so I'm gonna go for it. That's like my like the open door to be like, hey, I can do this. Or you know what? I'm just gonna accept defeat today and go out there and do the best I can. I was not prepared.
Hmm.
Intuition is so weird because it's I do believe that people that's one reason that I love talking to people that work with animals.
But not everyone has it. I would define them more as the mechanical trainers. I see it so much in the pet dog world is they don't have that intuition and that feel. And then they're trying to get it through behaviors like place, down, and they
Hmm.
can get away with it with certain breeds. I think the pit bulls, the Rottweilers, German shepherds are okay with that, but not the herding dogs. The herding dogs show it, and they wreck their herding breeds that they're working with.
Oh, if I'm not connected to my dog mentally, I'm screwed. I know where I can give myself a mental break if I have to. So like the last time I ran Heidi at Meeker, I knew it was my last time. And it was a very emotional thing because Meeker made me in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. And I'd send her out on her outrun, and halfway out, I'm breaking down in tears. Like I'm really having a hard time holding it together. And this is actually something I learned in sports psychology is you have if you have that moment where you're like you're tired, you're thirsty, you're whatever.
Hmm.
It's like okay, just carry me through the next 10 minutes, and then I can satisfy that need. In that moment, it was like, okay, I've got 10 seconds before she gets up there and I have to start being a partner to her. It's like, okay, I've got 10 seconds. So I allow myself 10 seconds to have a break
Mhm.
and feel emotional because it was an emotional thing.
Mhm.
We got a standing ovation at the end of our last run there,
Mhm.
during the double lift in the final, and the connection that I had to be connected while we were competing. And like when I was part of the partnership, is like, okay, I've got to stay connected, and then we get through one phase, and I can take a little tiny bit of a break for myself, and then go back to being in that competitive mode and keep going. We
How
have
do
to
we
recognize it.
how do we explain connection to lay people? I always think of it as like a string from my head to my dog's.
Well,
Like it's an
that's
invisible elastic between the two of us.
that's exactly, I think, how I would explain it. It's like when I first met you, immediately I liked you. I never have had any anxiety when I was talking to you.
Yeah.
Whether it was just as, I don't know if you remember this, but we went over into the yard and we were like sitting down on the grass, and Grayson came out with his little, what kind of dog is that?
Papillon.
Papillon, thank you. I knew it was a P, but I'm like, like my mind was like Pomeranian. I'm like, fuck no. And we were just all like sitting there chilling, and I didn't feel like I had to impress you. There was no, I felt safe. When I look at an animal or a person that I'm interacting with, it's like, do I feel safe or do I feel nervous? Do I feel like I have something to prove? And that was that day with Reggie, for example.
Mhm.
Like when he brought me that freaking tree, I, I wish somebody would have had a picture of that. That was such a cute moment for me. My favorite moment of an another breed that I've ever had, other than one time I got a poodle to work sheep.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I forget his name, but he was a standard poodle. He was all happy, and but like that moment with Reggie was just like my every moment that I've had with you. It's like I look at you and I'm like, okay, I can trust you. I feel safe with you. I can be candid with you. I can be myself with you. And that's my thing with dogs. Like when I get a good vibe about a dog, then it's kind of like you're looking at somebody that's a crush. Like you have a crush on them. You make one, like you see him one time, and there's this endorphin explosion throughout your entire body. And it's oh, who's that? I can tell you the last time I really felt that, but nothing ever happened from it. I was too I was too nervous to talk to the guy, and so I ended up calling. I messaged him on Facebook to see if
Uh,
he'd be a model for me during hair school, and I spent the entire time that I was doing this photo shoot making fun of him because that's how I show love, apparently. But but I was too insecure. The guy's super handsome. I'm like, why would this guy have anything to do with me? But it's kind of like that. My energy is vibing with your energy, and it's this fuzzy, cute feeling, happy feeling. Therefore, I want to keep it going. And I feel like that's like how it is with dogs. I like
mhm.
when I'm aligned, my dogs are aligned. When I'm not aligned, sometimes it's up to the dog to keep things going because, like for me, it's I may have sent the dog like 3/4 of a mile to gather a bunch of sheep or cows, and if I've got my mind on other things, I gotta trust them to do it. Most of the time they do, but sometimes but in competition, you gotta be like zeroed in 100%.
Mhm.
And when I'm zeroed in and my dog is zeroed in, like that's when I am dangerous. And I love that feeling.
Mhm.
So for me, back to the sports psychology thing that we talked about in the last episode, I have to train myself to get into that mode sometimes. And when I do, then everything goes, I'm aligned, like they're aligned, and no matter what happens in front of us, we might not win the day. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like I'm going to win everything because of that, but at least we're in sync to deal with the damages.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I love that dogs teach us that. It's my favorite
Yes.
thing.
Yep. Feel two. For me, it's something continuously expanding
Hmm.
because I still can't, I can feel sheep now feeling the pressure of the dog, but I can't feel more than that from sheep yet.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about working with another species in
Hmm.
your relationship with training animals or dogs. So the year that I won Meeker was 2000, and I the first year I won Meeker, sorry, and I ran in the morning, and I ran a 95 out of 110, which was pretty high for a Meeker. That's high praises. The afternoon brought some of the best handlers around. So Kent went out with one dog, and the sheep didn't want to be penned after the lunch break. For some reason, they just didn't want to be penned. So he went out there and he gently guided the sheep back in and still couldn't get them penned. But he tried the gentle approach. Alistair went out there with Nan, and and I don't know if it was strictly because he watched what Kent did and it didn't work, or if he actually felt that the sheep needed like different treatment. But he told me that he took the different approach because Kent didn't have success with that. And again, I have utmost respect for both of them. But Alistair went out and he would send Nan around to gather the sheep back up, whatever sheep was trying to get out. And then he would tell her to give her like a kill whistle, dive in. You're gonna dive bomb these things. I'm gonna kill you, kind of thing. But he would stop her before she could get contact with anything, and she was so well trained that she could.
Hmm.
Um, that didn't work for him either. And I asked him why he did that, and he told me that's why he told me. Ken did it that way, and I thought, well, maybe it's best if I try a more aggressive approach. Although that was impressive nonetheless. Cool. Now, for me, it's like when I see a sheep being obstinate, like I was running Nell, I think it was 2017 at this trial in Idaho in Sun Valley. It's called Trailing of the Sheep. And I had a smoking run around the field. I only lost 4 points up until like where we are going to the pen. So Nell was killing it. I was going over to the pen, open the pen gate. Four of the sheep were just like walking straight in. Like they were like, all right, I guess this is where we're going. One sheep turned around on Nell, and I was like, oh, this sheep is going to try to kill her. And Nell doesn't take kindly to sheep looking at her. So this ewe like reared up, came down on Nell. Nell bit her face, which was 100% appropriate because she was attacked. Unfortunately, Nell came back in and bit her ass, which made me disqualify. She has a temper, okay? Like, yeah, like whatever. But like in that moment, I knew that that sheep was just like done. And like halfway through, I felt like these sheep were not going to take this kind of direct approach very well. I don't know what it was about it. I just knew. And so like when I see sheep, like for me, I can read the sheep pretty well. And it's like, okay, these sheep can't trot around the field, let alone run. I got to walk them around the field. Or, but the one thing I love about one of the things I love about dogs working sheep is if I have to teach a dog to grip, if I have to teach them how to defend themselves, it's best to use rams because there's something chemically different. I think they can smell the testosterone or something.
Mm.
Because when a ram turns on a dog, especially a confident dog, they are not afraid to just go all Cujo on them. But when a ewe and a lamb, like when a ewe that's protecting her babies turns on a dog, those dogs are like, even Nell is like, no, 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 just move, just go. It's okay. Like, hey, honey, I get it. You got a baby. I just got to move you over here and you just go that way. But when a ram turns on, like Nell specifically, in fact, I have videos of this somewhere. But when a ram would turn on Nell, she would put her head down, her ass in the air, and she would look straight in the sheep's eyes. And it's almost like you're hearing Clint Eastwood saying, "Do you feel lucky?" And she would just like she would bite to hurt. She wouldn't just bite
Hmm.
to teach to be like, "Hey, no, turn around. I'm going to bite you if you keep doing this." She would bite to make a point. Whereas with a ewe and a lamb, she would be like, "No, no." It's like, "Okay, no, no, just keep going." They totally recognize the difference,
They do. Yeah.
and I feel it too. And I guess one of the things that I
I
love
can
about seeing that. Oh, sorry.
I can feel it with a ewe with a lamb. Like I can in that moment versus my ram that tried to kill me. I like when he turned on me, I was like, "Oh shit." You just know.
Yeah.
Mm. So I can feel the defensiveness versus the offensiveness of when he wanted
Hmm.
to get me. And I see that in Pippa. So I guess I can in that moment. But like when we were driving sheep or collecting them, like you knew if they wanted to walk or trot, and I have no idea about that.
Usually it's when I know that they don't want to go at a specific pace.
Okay.
Because like you can look at like for me, like I look at a ewe, and it's like, okay, she's obviously like she's so old that she probably came over on the ark,
Okay,
and
fair. Yeah.
she's got a bag, like her boobs are hanging down to the ground, and they're swinging around while they're trying to run to keep up with everybody. It's okay. I gotta coddle this one. I can also tell, but I've also done this for 30 years, so it's not something
Yeah.
that people should just expect that they know immediately. So it's like, okay, that's an old you, and actually, this is one thing that I learned, and I'm so grateful for. In when I went to the World Trials in the Netherlands, I started being able to point out certain sheep in the group, even though all of them to the regular person would have looked almost identical. And actually, it was Scott Glenn. I've referenced him like 10 times this podcast. He should be paying me. But I noticed it with his one of his groups, and 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 I had sort of like inadvertently, not intentionally, but just sort of like happened to be that I hung out with a lot of the guys from the UK when I was on that trip, and I was sitting between, I don't know, 3 or 4 people that had all won the Supreme Championship, which is the biggest accolade that you can win in the
Hmm.
UK. And I'm sitting there watching this, and something happens, and one of the guys that won a Supreme Championship later that year, Ricky Hutchinson, great guy, really, really great guy, and he turns to everybody, he's like, "Oh, what would you take off that? What'd you take off that?" And he asks me, and I'm like, I'm just here as a student. I don't really feel like I have an opinion that's valid, but I said my opinion, and everybody accepted it. It's like, oh, okay, you make a good point. At one point, like Scott had this you that was just being a little bit of a bitch. And I said, and somebody pointed it out, and I said, yeah, that was the same you that tried to help him miss this or tried to miss that gate or whatever. And I hope I never forget it because it was like I was paying such close attention that I knew which sheep was giving him trouble. And it's a hypervigilance that I wish everybody else in like the States would start to recognize because a lot of us don't. A lot of us are just like, oh my God, did you see how bad that sheep was treating my dog or this or that? And so, yeah, you should have recognized that like a quarter of the way down this part of your course, like the fetch, because like she was giving your dog trouble as soon as you got the sheep, as soon as your dog got to the sheep. Like you should have been like managing this differently. And when I point something like that out to people, they're like, "Oh, you just say that because that's you and you're this or you're that." You're like they're dismissing my knowledge as like talent or something. And it's like it's like I accept the fact that I'm talented, but also please respect the fact that I'm also skilled because I learned all this stuff.
Hmm.
And sometimes I learned it through some pretty rough times. It's one thing to know that a ram is bluffing you and be like, yeah, get out of here. It's another thing to know that ram has it out for you.
Oh yeah.
And I've had that with ewes. Ewes have blown me over to plow into Heidi to shove her 3 feet into the mud because she was trying to hold them off of me while I was feeding or something. And I have a vivid memory of that actually. It really did happen. Um, Heidi was like 11 months old. And I'm using her to hold sheep off of me, and the sheep knocks me over to plow into her. So it's like you recognize intention pretty quick.
Hmm.
I was helping my uncle sort some cows one time. Again, I hate working livestock with my family, and this is one of the reasons why. Is this you? They throw you into life-threatening situations as if you're disposable. It's like, okay, old man, like why don't you get your ass down here and do this? I'm 90 pounds. That cow's 2,000 pounds. And, but like this cow turned on me and I'm like, I think she's serious. And so I run out of the way, thinking we'll just get her out of that next pen later. No, no, no. She's hunting me down like a pit bull on a pork chop. And it was not nice. And you learn to recognize intention because intention can save your life and save a sheep's life. It's like if I get three-quarters of the way through a run and I see one of my animals, one of the sheep really being unhappy, it's like you got to adjust to deal with that because that's part of the art of shepherding or managing livestock. But it's no shame on anybody that doesn't have that because we develop it at different stages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Derek, we've talked for 2.5 hours.
I don't really think this is enough. I think we have more information to give people.
I need bed.
I do too, actually. I've been watching the timer being like, oh, she's gonna cut this off at any minute. Like this is the moment. And then you asked another question. And I'm like, okay, here's another half hour of me just like talking shit.
All right.
By
Thank you
the
so
way,
much for talking to me. What? By the way, what?
by the way, when I saw the link for the last one, I looked down the description because I didn't know if there was like an area for comments or anything because I was like curious.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it said explicit.
Did that
That
make you
really,
happy?
that, yes.
I've covered myself off in case children happen to listen. I
Here's an
am British, you
education,
know.
kids. All right. It's been so nice talking to you. As you know, I
Thank you,
love the hell
darling.
out of you.
Thanks. Sleep. Have a good drive home wherever you're going.
I will. I had to park, so I'm at a mall. I think the mall security's been by here like 6 times.
I
It's
think
okay,
you're
folks.
sleeping in your car.
I'm just sex trafficking. It's fine. All right,
All right.
it's
Good
been
night, you
good talking to
crazy
you.
man.
Good night.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Good night. Bye.